Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here, and welcome back to a little supplemental episode on the Peril of Cymbaline Isle, the solo RPG I am playing now using Scarlet Heroes as our base rules. And I just kind of wanted to talk about the experience so far, things I've liked, things I haven't liked, and things I'm going to do different in the future, and that kind of thing. Go over a few of the things that I'm using and how I'm finding those, because I know that a lot of people who are watching this series are, like myself, newer to solo role playing, and so we're kind of like learning together and exploring tips and that kind of thing. So it's been a lot of fun. This thing that I'm doing on the table now has really become one of my favorite games that I've played. I love the ability to kind of shape it and mold it, morph it into whatever I want it to be based on the kind of game I want to play at that time. And that has been a lot of fun. It has also been more work than just playing a board game or a pre-constructed thing on the table. It's a little more emotionally draining. So I don't often feel like just coming in and making a quick video about something, because I kind of feel like I have to be more on top of things in a way, more on top of keeping track of a story, since I'm the one creating the story on the camera, and feeling more like I am scripting an entertainment thing for people to watch rather than just discussing the elements of a board game. And so that is very different, and it's new for me, and I think that's probably somewhat of a unique situation that only people who make YouTube videos would feel. Most people who are playing solo RPGs at home aren't doing it on camera, and so they're not having to worry about that. So that's kind of a unique thing, and I'm not sure I like that aspect, even though it has been very rewarding doing so. I think what I'm going to do with this game is we're going to wrap up the cult story, and then we're going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to continue doing solo RPG stuff, mainly because that's just kind of where my headspace is right now. But I'm going to take a couple steps back from having a massive kind of ongoing campaign. I'm going to focus more narrowly on individual little adventures with recurring characters and themes and that kind of thing. I think that will work better. I'm not quite sure how different it will be. I thought that I was going to be using the overland map more, but the nature of the adventure has not allowed that to happen. So I'm not sure how useful it actually is in gameplay and mechanical things. I kind of want to just do basic, like each video will be a whole self-contained segment of an adventure, or a whole adventure from beginning to end, and then we can kind of connect the dots in between each adventure in a way. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm really thankful to the Dungeon Dive patrons for helping me out in naming the people, especially the regulars at the tavern. Those guys will still be around, because that's probably been my favorite thing so far, and that's kind of what I want to focus on. It'll almost be kind of like a season or episodes of Cheers, who knows what kind of crazy things the regulars at the Crooked Violin will get into each week, that kind of thing. I like that idea. That idea makes me very happy to think to think about, and that has been the most fun, is thinking about the regulars and how they will interact with each other. So the things that I've really enjoyed using are, of course, the Scarlet Heroes book. I think this system is amazing. I'm going to run a game for a couple friends of mine, and I think after that I'll come back and talk about how it is to run a game. But I think as of right now, this might be like just my favorite RPG system. It's so simple and it's so direct. It makes you feel heroic. It's not overburdened by rules, but it doesn't have so few rules that you kind of just feel like you're making everything up. I think it's kind of like the perfect, it's a perfect balance of rules light and a little bit of crunch. It's a fantastic game. I love the setting of the Red Tide that is mainly used for Labyrinth Lord, but Scarlet Heroes takes place in that same world. Really interesting. You guys know, longtime fan of like Hong Kong cinema and Asian pop folklore, that kind of stuff. So it's right up my alley. I really had no idea that it was like that until I bought it, and I was so happy to see the hopping vampires make an appearance, one of my favorite kinds of creatures. So I definitely am going to be using Scarlet Heroes for many more things and having a lot more fun with this in the future. Fantastic series. I have gotten so much use out of Table Fables. These are like the most ubiquitous things in solo role-playing. You see these on all the videos, and there's a reason why. These things are just fantastic. They're so easy to use. They're small. You can find what you're looking for quickly. I have noticed that when I started out, I was thinking I was going to be using all kinds of different tables from different sources and everything, but then you end up needing a chart of tables. You end up needing a table of tables, and it ends up being so overwhelming that I never started to use certain things that I thought I would, because these were just so useful and so easy. So I'm thinking, like, you know, these 4 books here are kind of like all I would really need as far as books go. Some extra monsters and things from White Box. White Boxes, again, I love this as well. This is like kind of like hand in hand with Scarlet Heroes, and for regular monsters and stuff, this is going to be definitely used. I liked the idea of using the folklore rumor cards for side quests. I love these things. I think I've said it before, but these rumor cards, I think this deck is one of the best expansion modules, expansion pieces from any board game ever made. Hands down. The Rumors deck. More board games, dungeon crawl and adventure games need decks of side quests like this that use the pieces that you already have in additional ways. So smart, and you can really mold these to be used in any other game. Very, very cool. What I have not started using, and I've found it's just a little more too focused on the game it's from, are the settlement and travel events from Warhammer Quest. I thought I would be using those, but in experimenting in between sessions, off camera and that kind of thing, I haven't found the events in Warhammer Quest to be very adaptable to what I am doing now. So I don't think I'm going to end up using anything from Warhammer Quest at all in that. I have also really enjoyed using this overland travel deck for my overland travel system, breaking it up into time instead of distance, and I think I'm going to continue doing that, using these cards but not actually moving on a map. Just every time we travel, 1 day's worth of travel will be 1 card. You read it, you figure out the hours. If it's over 12 hours, you've had a difficult travel, so you have a combat or more of a difficult encounter, and something happens to you at night. If you've had an easy day's travel, then you can do 1 additional thing on that day. I really like that travel system. I think I'm happy with the system I came up with, and I like using this deck. Even though we haven't done it on camera yet, I still love the cards from Storymaster's Tales for developing little stories on the fly. I think these cards are fantastic. They have really great evocative art that you can make really cool stories with right on the fly, right on the spot. And I've used these for like when I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons with a group or something. I will, as a player, I will sometimes use these as kind of a divination to come up with ideas, because I'm not like the kind of role player I am, and that's another thing about this game. The kind of role player I am is I don't get into character. I'm just not that kind of role player. I will often role play from like the third person, telling what my character is doing. I rarely make up voices and that kind of thing. You know, there's just all different kinds of role players on different ends of the spectrum. And from the actor, you know, the actor voice end of the spectrum, I'm kind of like the opposite direction. That's just me. I thought that these Dungeon Universalis travel cards would be more useful. Maybe they will be. I will continue to experiment with these, but like Warhammer Quest, I'm finding that these aren't quite as adaptable as I would want for a kind of generic wilderness random events. That has been kind of the most difficult thing, is figuring out ways to make random events more fun and more tailored to my experience without the need of just creating my own tables, because that just seems like a lot of work. So I'm trying to find something that I can use. So with that said, one thing that I haven't used that I thought I would use more, I've had it for a couple years. I probably got it based on Deborah from Geek Gamers, from her channel. Tome of Adventure Design, a fantastic book full of tables, full of interesting ideas and charts and things for game masters to use. I'm not finding it very useful to use on the spot to generate things off the cuff. It's just, there's too much in here. Maybe if as a tool, if I knew the book more and I knew exactly where things were that I was looking for, if I knew every page like the back of my hand, it might be a little easier to use. But right now I find it to be too overwhelming to use just off the cuff. When I start running a game for my buddies, this will most definitely come in handy in between sessions as I'm putting together little adventures for my friends to go on. But some things that I recently purchased as I'm exploring more things. So I recently got these 2 decks of cards. They are Venger's Random Encounter decks. There is the Outlander, the Quickening, and the regular Outlander. The regular Outlander deck, each one of these cards is kind of a entire little side quest adventure, all in one. And it comes with, I think there's about 50 or 60 cards in here, 50 random encounters. You get 25 green and 25 red. The red are combat encounters, the green are non-combat encounters. I believe these are about $15 each. They're fairly nice, kind of big tarot cards. They are glossy, pretty nice quality. The art is, you get the same picture on all of the cards. I would love to see the developer, the designer, able to maybe do a Kickstarter campaign or something where we can get some individual art on each card. It would be amazing. But I did purchase these because I thought they sounded interesting. I was just doing a Google search, I think, for like random encounter decks, and these came up. So the regular Outlander set, each of the cards is a pretty in-depth adventure hook. So you will get, so this is, let's say, this is called Stone Cold Levitation. This is a non-combat encounter. Here's the hook. The party stumbles across magic using creature or hooded figure. No other way around. Maybe the party is trapped or slides down into a chamber. The exit the party needs is locked or blocked beyond the magic user who's levitating very large rocks above an NPC or creature who's denying the magic user's accusations of theft. Okay, so the party is spotted and seen as intruders. The magic user warns that if the party moves 1 inch, the party will die. A rock large enough to land on everyone but the magic user. It's levitating in the sky there. And then the cowering NPC or creature begs the party to save it in return for a huge reward. Can the party save itself and the cowering NPC? Okay, so that's the little adventure hook you could read. And then on the back, it gives you 3 paragraphs of the conflict, possible resolutions, and a twist. So here we have the conflict. If the magic user takes damage or is distracted, its concentration ends and the rock falls. The cowering NPC or creature is chained to the ground. The longer any conversation goes on, more likely the magic user will allow the rock to fall, and so on. It gives you possible resolutions. So the magic user might be bought. You can bribe him, pay him off. The cowering NPC or creature took but then lost a valuable item that needs to be located. So you get a couple possible ways as a GM that you could offer, that you could think about how the players could resolve the situation. And then you get a twist. The item is also sought by the party per a main quest or member's backstory, or by another adventuring party or NPC. So you get 25 very detailed non-combat encounters. I think you could use these pretty easily to come up with some adventures, maybe in between, or maybe at the beginning of a session. You could just draw a combat or non-combat encounter, and that could be your whole solo session based on those. And then the combat encounters are the same, where it's going to give you a pretty detailed combat situation with certain kinds of things that you can add to the conflict, certain ways to resolve it, and a twist to that combat. So really cool. I'm looking forward to exploring these more, and looking forward to exploring more of what the designer has on his website. This says within this deck of 50 random encounter cards, you will be able to draw from a breathtaking mix of combat and non-combat scenarios that can be played in pretty much any terrain, no matter the tabletop role-playing game you're playing. Now, the quickening is the same. It's a 50-card deck, and you get 25 of each. But these are much shorter encounters. These are just really quick encounters. The party passes a parchment nailed up with crude drawings of the party, or some of them, and a price for capture. So you find out that you're wanted. Later on, an innocent commoner is seen to recognize them and runs off. Okay. Or another adventuring party is returning from a failed quest, the very same quest the party is on. That would actually work perfect in this kind of like a gamey world that we have here. They warn against following in their tracks. They also share one bit of crucial information, something about the campaign. Maybe they misunderstand, and which led to their failure. So pretty cool for those non-combat encounters. And then the combat encounters are also pretty short as well. Swarms of insects. While attacking, one swarm makes off with something the party needs. Twist: during the battle, lightning storm strikes the party, maybe an air elemental. Okay, so yeah, pretty cool. I'm glad I bought these. They're neat, and it's cool to support a guy who's just kind of like making these on his own. So I'll post a link to these in the comments below. I also recently picked up the Inkwell side quest decks. These I'm expecting to use quite a bit going forward, where I'm just going to pick a side quest card, and that's going to be the adventure for that one session. There are Dungeon and Caves, Wilderness and Frontier, and Political and Urban. And each one of these cards, I think each deck, Dungeons, Caverns, and Ruins, are the centerpiece of a great fantasy adventure. Side quest decks, Dungeon, Caverns, and Ruins Fantasy, are filled with dynamic adventure outlines and maps. So each one of these cards has a little story, a little setup. You get a hook, and then you also get a map on the other side that you can use and you could flesh out. So each one of these could be a session to a game. And I've looked through these, and they seem pretty interesting, I think, as far as the writing, and the situations are varied. So I am looking forward to using these in some capacity. The other decks that I have really liked are the decks that we have taken a look at, and those are the Encounter Builder cards. I think those are really handy, very useful, very easy to use. and just kind of like mindless. You can use them quickly, and I like that. I also went to the game store the other weekend and I picked up two really cool little zines, Delayed Blast Game Master. Both of these are just full of random charts of really cool things and really great art. I think all the art is done by, I think it's Stinky Goblin, which that group of the Stinky Goblin. Yep, J.M. Wack and Heather Shin of Stinky Goblin. They have done quite a bit of art, especially in the new 4 Against Darkness books. So the art in these books is just fantastic. I absolutely love it. And speaking of art, also, of course, the art in White Box, who, of course, is done by William McCausland, who did, I think, most of all of the art in Dungeon Crawl Classics. Yeah, he's destined to be a very well-known, or not, he is already well-known, but destined to be a classic fantasy artist. And I feel the same about the Stinky Goblin guys. I love their work. But this has all kinds of really cool, just random charts. A 1d6 dungeon characters, a mad mage, or an aggressive warrior, or 5d6 unwanted treasures, strands of spider webbing woven together, 8 teeth from goblins, orcs, and hobgoblins hang from the necklace, each one polished, shiny, and clean. So all kinds of just unwanted treasures. Oh man, look at that troll there. That is just amazing. Awesome art there. 1d8 dungeon oddities. One of the earliest sections that I wrote for the first issue of Delayed Blast Game Master was 1d8 dungeon oddities. And yeah, so wizards, goblinoid, a sinister frogkin, a skeletal horror, a goblinoid bear beast, 2d4 memorable weapons, the guardian's axe or the blood memory, Greyjaw's flail, the war axe of demonic strength, 1d8 adventure hooks. So really cool little zines. I don't think I'm gonna go full on. Oh, this both of these skeletal warriors, super cool. I don't think I'm gonna go full on down the zine route. I used to buy zines a lot, mainly like music zines, but there are so many zines out now that could become a hobby and channel in and of itself, probably, keeping track of all the zines coming up on Kickstarter and all of that. And they're not cheap. I mean, each one of these was like $10 or something, so they're not, they're not cheap, but they are fun to buy and to support when you can and when I can. But I will pick up zines every once in a while if I find that the art is cool or the layout's interesting. I did just back a set of, they're kind of zines, a set of little small like chapbooks for Mark Borg solo, like a whole solo set of stuff that should be coming out soon. And I did also back that Viking box set adventure, solo adventure for Mark Borg. That should be arriving next year sometime, and that looked pretty cool. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to do a recap. We're going to get back into it. We're going to find out about the Wood Mother and the little side quest we're on. Then we will head back into town and try to kind of quickly resolve the cult angle, the cult's thread of the story, and then kind of, I think, kind of shift gears and kind of approach the game in a little different manner. And I'm not quite sure what yet. I am going to be a little short on time in the next week and a half. My parents are coming into town. I haven't seen them in like almost 2 years because of all the COVID nonsense and the way that our schedules lined up pre-COVID. We saw each other like the beginning of 2019. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm not going to be having a lot of time to devote to the table and to the channel for a week or so, week and a half. I'll try to get something up, maybe something quick. But I just wanted to do a solo RPG check-in and update. And so I hope you guys, I know a lot of people seem to be enjoying it, and I've learned a lot from a lot of the comments, and people have had some really great suggestions. And so I hope other people are learning things as well. So, all right, guys, we'll take it easy. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.